Hi, I'm Joan Newcomb, and today's Mystic Minute is how real is reality? Nor I just realized normally I do these as a walk and talk, by which I mean like I'm walking down the street and I am holding my iPhone out, and it they're really great. And today I just didn't have the time to do it, and had been wanting to talk about this particular subject for a week or more, and just not having the time to get out with my phone and do that. So instead, I'm sitting here on Zoom, and you can get to see the background. This is actually down the street from my house. So I certainly my house doesn't have this view, but I manifest living on an island, and that's the ferry to Seattle. So my husband and I have gotten into watching videos and near-death experiences. It's a common interest in different ways. He's a devout Buddhist, and so has a particular strong spiritual practice, and then uh, an awareness about the unseen world, and that's where we connect. Because I have an awareness about the unseen world, and in fact, the unseen world is more real to me than the physical world around us. And so I've been enjoying these near-death experiences, and it validates the reality that's more real to me. And all these people who've had death experiences describe that as well. Um, and one of them talked about something that happened, and that's a similar thing that happened to somebody else I know, which is this was after they'd had their near-death experience. They were at an airport, and their wife and children were getting out of the car across the street, and their young child saw their dad and went running across the road towards them, and in the midst of all the traffic. And the father reacted to this with a very intense energetic response, and the scene froze, and he was conscious of everything that was going on that street. He could see the woman driving her car and her thought process, and you know and his little child kept running across the street while the scenario was frozen, and so essentially survived. And this reminded me of a teacher that I'd had 17 years ago, 15, 17 years ago, who had had a similar thing, similar but different in that he was driving along the road in Washington, Oregon, and he and his wife were in the car, and they were about to hit a deer, and some glitch in the matrix happened, and they were suddenly on the other side, and the deer was behind them, and he could tell by seeing there were people passersby, looks on their faces that something very strange had happened. And so I'd heard this story, and then I was at a workshop in Portland and had a chance to talk to the guy's wife. And the wife was a nurse, and she was, grounded in reality, and the guy teaching was more grounded in the unseen. And so it was interesting to me because I asked her about this, and she verified that, yeah, no, this had happened, and it was, similar to that. And she didn't have an explanation, but she'd been married to her husband for a while. So what I was reflecting on is this awareness that physical reality is a hologram, And my awareness as we grow in consciousness is that, yes, time and space are real, but they're malleable. There's a technique that I teach in my consciousness classes about shrinking and expanding time. And I have been through this, I've been through this experience the last 5 years, really. It was longer than that, but it got, I got bumped up to graduate level the last 3 to 5 years, where I went into more of a density than ever before, which was a real challenge to my ability to navigate reality from an expanded sense of consciousness. And I've long said that, reality is real. It's meant to be real. It's, it's not fake, but we do often have a sense that we're, characters in a movie. I know when I'm aligned with consciousness, I'll have these moments of, walking across the grocery store parking lot and the sense of being in a movie. And that's kind of when I know that I'm operating more as higher consciousness. And it's interesting, all these people who've had near-death experiences, they come back and they say, the unseen world, their near-death experience was more real to them and that this wasn't. But yet, here we are. We're in this physical reality. We're in we're in bodies that experience time and space, that experience uh, aging, from being a baby and experience death. And yet we are this greater consciousness within this. And I have grown in awareness about physical reality. So it's not so black and white. It's not um, just a movie set that I can start to improvise. That's not entirely true. You can start to improvise, but approaching it with a greater awareness, and still knowing that as consciousness, when I shuffle off this mortal coil, when this body um, in the illusion ceases to exist, I um, it'll have been to me, this entire lifetime will have been to me like a blink of an eye. And everybody I know, everybody I will know, um, everybody I love, we're all still connected in as consciousness, we're all this great big puddle of love. So I think about this because, these two examples of where, reality stopped and the little kid ran across the street. Uh, Reality jumped and the guy didn't hit the deer. And I've had moments where I just want to manipulate the fuck out of the hologram because I want things to change. And um, when I'm coming from that perspective, uh, my tools and techniques aren't going to be very effective because I am now operating as the character in the show. I'm operating as the body that's experiencing density and effort and time and space. And it's when I operate as consciousness, where I am wandering through this world with a sense of awe and wonder. I wonder what this would be like. That's when my consciousness techniques are more effective because I'm just playing with reality. I saw a clip off of Twitter this morning. It's from NASA, um, and actually, it was based on some findings of NASA where they've now got pictures of black holes combining, and it was a 1 minute explanation from a physicist on gravitational waves, and how this now gives them greater insight to how the universe was created. And I got this wonderful awareness that it's kind of like the characters in the movie trying to describe how a movie is made. It's like we're the character inside the computer trying to say what's outside the computer. Science has always striven to either replicate or define what consciousness has created, and what many Gnostic, mystical, spiritual religions have talked about since the beginning of time. So now they're starting to measure, the edges of the universe or the creation of the universe. And what this made me realize is that it is it is all a story. It is all a creation of consciousness. And as consciousness, this is all happening in the blink of an eye, and all of this is encompassed in much greater detail than my individual body and physical form within the storyline can comprehend. So, it's not necessarily accurate to say it's more complex, because our minds like to make things complex or give greater weight to what's complex. But it's all much more vast than you could realize. All lifetimes are happening in a split second, in the blink of an eye, because as consciousness, there is no time or space. This is a creation of a consciousness to experience the opposite of what it is infinite. As I said, there's no time or space. And within this fun and joyful blink of an eye, there's lots of physical aspects and expressions of it, and lots of physical creations like trees and insects and flowers. Everything is part of this really fun creation. So, my purpose for being here, and everyone's purpose for being here, is to experience it, create. We're all driving to create as consciousness. As I said, science is trying to replicate it. So, look at what they've replicated so far. They've replicated the Akashic records in the form of the internet. They've replicated the ability, telepathy, through uh, cell phones and uh, various ways on the internet. We've replicated the ability to take our bodies off of gravity by airplanes and to move really fast by cars. Uh, all of these things are our drive to replicate being non-physical. And that's also when we have our creative desires to do things like create a garden, uh, have a fish tank, create a model train set. That creative instinct is us replicating our greater selves as creator. So how do I wrap this up now that I've just introduced a whole bunch of different concepts? This could actually be many, many, many mystic minutes. I think the thing just to leave you with is enjoy it, have fun, because consciousness is constantly amused. Um, be playful about it, work spontaneously. Uh, if you've got consciousness techniques, use them when it hits you in the moment. And if you don't have consciousness techniques and you'd like some information about that, you can go to my website, joan-newcomb.com. And if you'd like a session about your reality being too dense or how to make it less dense, you can go to my website, joan-newcomb.com, and look at my coaching. Also, if you like this video, please like it and subscribe to it and share it with people you know who might enjoy it as well. And stay tuned for the next Mystic Minute.